President Trump held a rally in Georgia where he defended his possibly illegal phone call pressuring Georgia election officials to overturn his loss to Joe Biden. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. On Monday night, Trump held what will very likely be his last rally as president of the United States. And man, it feels good to say that. I feel like Tom Cruise jumping on Oprah's couch. You guys remember that? When that was like a 5-day story? Now things happen so fast that when a celebrity jumps off a couch cushion, it's old news by the time they land. And look, I know Trump's going to keep holding rallies after he leaves office because it's either that or pay for therapy, but it just won't be the same. I mean, you can still go to Grateful Dead concerts, but it's like 2 of the original guys and it ends at 9:30. People are dancing with knee braces on, and instead of joints, they're passing around a tube of Fixodent. As president, Trump has power, and we have to listen to him. But in 2 weeks, he'll just be a guy hosting a show from whatever rental van they shoot Newsmax out of, ranting about low-flush toilets and B-list celebrities from the 90s. Bobby Knight, the general they called him, met him in an after-party for the ESPYs 1994. Nasty guy, mean guy. Nice to me, though. Remember when he threw that chair? Real son of a bitch. One time I saw him stab a waiter with a fork. Charity benefit. Donated nothing. Ate the food and left. Real piece of liked me. Liked me. But if there's one takeaway from the Trump presidency, let it be that. The man loved a rally. Remember, he even started his phone call with Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger by claiming there's no way he could have lost the election because of the size of his rallies.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, Brad and Ryan and everybody. We appreciate the time and the call. So we've spent a lot of time on this, and if we could just go over some of the numbers, I think it's pretty clear that we won. We won very substantially, Georgia. You even see it by rally size, frankly. We'd be getting 25,000, 30,000 people a rally, and the competition would get less than 100 people, and it never made sense.
Okay, first of all, Biden had small numbers of people because it's a pandemic. He's a sociopath. Luring people into tightly packed crowds for hours at a time with a highly contagious and deadly disease spreading rapidly through the air is like something the Joker would do. Although knowing the Joker, he probably had some unnecessary logistics where there are like 2 rallies happening simultaneously and one has a bomb and the other has poison gas. Batman's girlfriend's at one and Alfred's at the other. And meanwhile, Batman's thinking, I can't wait until Gotham City's rid of this insufferable ass. Not knowing, of course, that the villain after the Joker is going to sound like this. So much for my New Year's resolution not to lean on the Bane impression. Also, the reason Biden didn't need big rallies is because people weren't voting for him. They were voting against you. One of the reasons they were voting against you is because of the way you behaved at rallies. So the irony is, Biden did have giant rallies. They were just yours. And you have to love that big crowds was Trump's first argument right out of the gate. I'm surprised he didn't follow up with hard evidence of most red hats sold or candidate whose name Jeanine Pirro says the loudest. And Trump should have been ready for this call. According to the Washington Post, Trump had tried to reach Raffensperger at least 18 times before Saturday's call, but the calls were patched to interns in the press office who thought it was a prank and didn't realize it was actually the president on the line. And prank call is a perfectly reasonable thing to think. If you read the transcript of Trump's phone call with Raffensperger and his lawyer Ryan Germany in a different voice, you'd think it was one of the Jerky Boys. Do you think it's possible they shredded ballots in Fulton County? Also, the Dominion took out machines you didn't know anything about? That's illegal.
This is Ryan Germany. No, Dominion has not moved any machinery out of Fulton County.
But have they moved the inner parts of the machines and replaced them with other parts?
No.
Are you sure, Ryan?
I'm sure, Mr. President.
They were a cultural phenomenon. If you were a young man in 1993, the Jerky Boys were loud and the parties were hopping. So Trump thinks rally size is proof he actually won the election. Well, Monday night gave him one last chance to show off that oratorical prowess he's so legendary for, and he did not disappoint.
We have made America strong again. Look at that arm. Look at that.
While it's troubling that someone who runs America can't say America, look at that arm is a terrific save. Did he say America? Shh, I'm looking at his arm. And hey, anyone's capable of making a mistake, but you never hear Angela Merkel say, "We love our country, Joseph McKee." Look, it's a haircut. This is what happens when you zap your brain with 20 hours of cable news a day. Your aides have to pump you full of Red Bull and Adderall just to get you through a speech, and by the end of it, your primary motor cortex starts to turn into cottage cheese. I mean, compare his frantic, slurring energy during the rally with this photo his daughter Ivanka posted on the plane on the way to the rally. There's that quality father-daughter time every family dreams about. Dad, I want to take a picture. Then take it. It looks like the photo you see when you see a retired athlete at your airport gate and don't want to bother them. Trump was supposedly there to rally votes for GOP Senate candidates Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue, two of the most soulless, vacant D.C. robots you'll ever see in politics. As far as I can tell, neither has any discernible policy positions other than wanting to be a senator and making money. For example, here's Loeffler, a Wall Street executive who's originally from Illinois, trying to sound like a character in a Tennessee Williams play.
Let's give the senator a hand. He has worked so hard for y'all, and y'all are working hard. I have a very important question for y'all. Grateful for y'all. That's why y'all are here. We need y'all to get out and vote.
It's like watching someone audition for Tammy Taylor in a dinner theater production of Friday Night Lights. Okay, Kelly, can you maybe do it one more time, but this time don't say y'all so much? Y'all got it, y'all. Trump was supposed to be there to campaign for Loeffler and Perdue, so naturally he started out by immediately obsessing over his election loss.
Hello, Georgia. By the way, there's no way we lost Georgia. There's no way.
That has to be the fastest use of "by the way" in any speech ever. You weren't even on the way yet. Give yourself some runway, buddy. If you wake up next to your spouse and say, "Good morning, by the way," they're gonna know you were lying awake furious all night. Trump tried to talk about the Senate race, but every time he mentioned it, he couldn't help but veer back into nursing his wounded ego.
If the liberal Democrats take the Senate and the White House, and they're not taking this White House, we're going to fight like hell, I'll tell you right now. These Senate seats are truly the last line of defense. Now, I must preface that by saying, because they'll say, he just conceded. No, I don't concede.
There's nothing to concede. It's over. It doesn't matter whether you concede or not. I mean, you can try it just to see how it feels, see if your first moment of self-reflection and acceptance of failure in 74 years has a Grinch-like effect of growing your heart 3 sizes, at which point it will be as big as what the Grinch started with. And yet, even after Trump's corrupt and possibly illegal phone call, Republicans are still going along with his attempt to subvert the election for the sake of their own political interests. During the rally, Loeffler jumped up to the mic to tell the crowd she'd be objecting to the Electoral College vote and implied that it would somehow work.
Hello, Georgia! Woo! Thank you, Georgia. I have an announcement, Georgia. On January 6th, I will object to the Electoral College vote. That's right. That's right. Thank you. We're going to get this done. All right, Georgia, but I have a very important question for you. Are you ready to show America that Georgia's a red state?
She can't overturn the election results, but she did overturn her own Southern accent. I mean, where did it go? Did Antifa steal it? She could have at least thrown a y'all in there. She didn't even say, "get this done," in a Southern accent. She sounds like Larry the Cable Guy after elocution lessons. It's like we say down here in the South, "get her done." Of course, what she's describing is not possible, legal, or constitutional. It was already sedition when Republicans were attempting to overturn a free and fair election before Trump's call. But to get on board after the call is just shocking in its brazenness. I mean, the guy may have committed a crime by basically admitting he was trying to steal the election, and Republicans are like, sign me up. They're shoving it in our faces. They're like suspects in a police lineup, raising their hands saying, "It was me, I did it. Can I go now? I can? Good. To jail?" You can't pretend this is about high-minded principle anymore. After that phone call, it's clear what this is really about: stealing votes to assuage Trump's ego and illegally cling to power. And even after the phone call came out, Trump is, of course, still insisting there was nothing wrong with it.
They talked about my phone call. They don't like my phone call. Everyone loved my phone call.
Oh my God, he sounds like a Hollywood director talking himself up after a big flop. Everyone loved my movie. They said they prefer the version with the unblurred buttholes. No one loved your call. Even Republicans who are diehard Trump loyalists and who've signed on to the attempt to reject the Electoral College vote, like Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn, gently tried to tiptoe away from the phone call.
Brian, one of the things I think that everyone has said is that this call was not a helpful call.
No, I'm so sorry. The president wasn't helpful to your attempt to steal the election by blurting out what you were really trying to do the whole time. Republicans all think they're slick members of an elite heist squad trying to rob a precious jewel from a museum, rappelling down into the vault on a rope, jumping around lasers, and Trump's the guy who just walks up to the security guard with a hammer and says, "I'm here to steal the fancy diamond. Oh, thank you, a map. And excuse me, how does this map know I am here? Does it move when I move?" And by the way, just to be clear, the call may very well have been illegal. The Georgia Secretary of State said there might be an investigation of the call, and election law experts have said it seems like it may be a crime.
Well, it sure sounds like what the president was asking for was for the Secretary of State to manufacture votes, just enough votes to give him a one-vote margin in Georgia. It's not clear how this would work. Georgia's already sent in its electoral college votes, but it sounds like it could be a crime under both federal law and under state law. Because when you ask someone to come up with fake votes, that's kind of the definition of election fraud.
Yeah, of course it is. If you try to fraudulently overturn an election, that's election fraud. Seems pretty clear-cut to me, but then again, I'm just a simple country lawyer like Kelly Loeffler, you all. You're from here, and you're from here. I'm not. Trump tried to pressure Georgia election officials, and it didn't work, so now he's trying to pressure his own vice president, Mike Pence. Pence will have to preside over the counting of electoral votes tomorrow. Now, to be clear, Pence has no power to just overturn the results, despite Trump's insistence on Twitter today that the vice president has the power to reject fraudulently chosen electors. No, he doesn't. All Pence is supposed to do is count. Pence can't change the results any more than Vanna White can change the phrase on the board. Although apparently even counting is difficult for Pence, the New York Times reported that one person close to Pence described Wednesday's duties as gut-wrenching, saying that he would need to balance the president's misguided beliefs about government with his own years of preaching deference to the Constitution, which is like me saying it's gut-wrenching balancing my years preaching a healthy diet with my 4-year-old's desire to eat 1,000 gummy worms. But spare a thought for Mike Pence's gut, because it's really been through the ringer these past few years, and now he has to choose between the Constitution and a sleazy mafia don cold-calling election officials illegally, begging for votes like a telemarketer. "Hello, is this the Secretary of State for Arizona? Are you happy with your internet service? What if I told you you could combine Wi-Fi and cable for the price of only 11,000 votes?" And then yesterday, Trump added to the pressure by telling the crowd he'd be mad at Pence if the vice president didn't steal the election for him.
I hope Mike Pence comes through for us, I have to tell you. I hope that our great vice president comes through for us. He's a great guy. Of course, if he doesn't come through, I won't like him quite as much.
I have a hard time believing Trump likes Pence even now. There's no way those two have anything in common aside from their desperate desire to wield power at any cost. Trump gets what he needs from Pence and vice versa. They're like a rhino and that weird bird that eats bugs off them. If it weren't for the bugs, they're not hanging out. By the way, you can decide for yourself which is which. I don't care. From the very beginning, they've looked like two cops thrown together and forced to put aside their differences to stop, or in this case, start a crime spree. I think I saw it last night on TNT. "Officer Ham, Officer Milk, get in here!" "Milk, you gotta tell him you're the one who crashed the cruiser." "It was you that crashed the cruiser." "I didn't know it was a one-way street. It said one way, but it didn't say which way." "That's what the arrow was for. Who has time to look at the arrow?" "Plus, I was chasing a suspect. You were trying to get to McDonald's before they stopped serving breakfast." That's true. "You caught me in a fib." "Oh, Milk. If I was a lady cop, would your wife have to be in the car with us?" So tomorrow, Congress will count the votes that have already been cast by the Electoral College. Again, Congress does not have any authority to just overturn the results of a presidential election and pick someone else. It's not a thing. This isn't American Idol. It's not like there's an audience vote and then Lionel Richie gets to weigh in. Ted Cruz doesn't get a veto. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say the president shall be chosen by the Electoral College unless a time-traveling Old West bartender disagrees. "I declare President Trump the winner and sarsaparilla on the House." Republicans are running a scam by telling their voters there's actually a chance objecting to tomorrow's Electoral College certification will somehow allow Trump to stay in office. Their entire case falls apart once you ask them for even the simplest explanation of how this is supposed to work. And that's because it's all a lie to conceal the truth Trump revealed on his phone call. It's not about principle or election integrity. It's about power. These guys believe their opponents are illegitimate. They want to dismantle our democracy and replace it with an authoritarian state in which they're the only ones who get to govern.
America!
This has been Look at Mom! A closer look. God's Love We Deliver cooks and brings over 2 million meals a year to men, women, and children living with HIV, AIDS, cancer, and other serious illness, and they need your help now more than ever. If you're watching this online, you can hit the donate button. Stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask. We love you.